Also flying and gathering in the trees and pools will be innumerable birds of diverse species, singing wonderful melodies. Blooming day and night and never wilted will be golden, untainted, pure radiance flowers, carefree pure wisdom sunlight flowers, bright white 7-day fragrance flowers, and fragrant campaica flowers in 6 colors, as well as hundreds, thousands, and tens of thousands of kinds of land and water blossoms, unmatched in fragrance and purity. The blue colors will radiate blue light, yellow colors, yellow light, red colors, red light, and white colors, white light. There will be trees bearing wish-fulfilling fruits, with their beautiful aroma permeating the land. Among the treasure mountains in the land will be fragrant trees, which will radiate golden light to pervade everywhere and emit pleasing scents to suffuse everything. At that time there will always be fine fragrance in Jambudpa, making it like a mountain of fragrance. Streaming waters will be good and sweet, which can remove troubles. Rainfalls will be timely and the heavenly fields will ripen aromatic and beautiful crops of grain. Because of the powers of these godlike people, 7 harvests will be reaped from one planting. Only a little effort will yield much return. Without weeds or muck, the crops of grains will thrive. As a reward for the merit of these sentient beings, the grains, complete with 100 flavors, unmatched in aroma, will melt in their mouths, providing them with strength and vitality. At that time, in that land, there will be a wheel-turning king named Ranka, endowed with the 32 major marks. He will have 4 types of armed forces, but he will not rule the 4 continents by military power. The king will have 1,000 sons, who are valiant and majestic, and enemies will naturally submit to them. The king will have 7 precious things. First, the golden wheel, complete with the hub, the rim, and 1,000 spokes. Second, the white elephant, white as a snow mountain, a magnificent spectacle as it stands on its 7 limbs, like a mountain king. Third, the blue horse, with red mane and tail, hoofs made of the 7 treasures, and flowers appearing underneath. Fourth, the divine jewel, clearly visible, more than 2 elbows across, the radiance of which rains down treasures to fulfill the wishes of sentient beings. Fifth, exquisite maidens, beautiful, wonderful, and limber as if boneless. Sixth, the treasure minister, whose mouth spits out jewels, whose feet rain down jewels, and whose hands produce jewels. Seventh, the military minister, who, by moving his body, can produce the 4 types of armed forces from the sky just like clouds. His 1,000 sons and his people in this kingdom of the 7 treasures will regard one another without any malice, but like a mother loving her son. At that time these sons of the king will take the precious jewels and construct a platform in front of the main palace, using the 7 treasures. It will be 13 yojanas in height, with 30 decks. Equipped with 1,000 tiller heads and 1,000 wheels, it can move easily. There will be 4 great treasuries, each surrounded by 4 koi small treasuries. The great El Patra treasury will be in the kingdom of Gandhra, the great Paka treasury in the kingdom of Mithila, the great Piga treasury in the kingdom of Sula, and the great Ranka treasury in the kingdom of Brass, near the mountain of ancient fairies. These 4 great treasuries, filled with treasures, will be naturally uncovered, each radiating light to the distance of 1,000 yojanas, and each surrounded by 4 koi small treasuries. There will be 4 great dragons guarding these 4 treasuries and their respective small treasuries, which, shaped like lotus blossoms, stand above the ground. Uncountable multitudes will go to see these treasures, which will not be guarded by humans. When the multitudes see these treasures, their minds will not covet them. They will leave them on the ground, just like tiles, stones, grasses, trees, and chunks of dirt. When people see them, they will feel disgusted, saying to one another these words, as the Buddha has said, the sentient beings in the past, for the sake of these treasures, viciously harmed one another. They stole from and robbed one another, and they lied to and deceived one another, thus falling into enormous hells and extending their conditions for suffering in life and death. Nets made with jewels will hover over the city of Kethama. Jeweled bells, blown by breezes, just like bells being struck, will chime harmoniously, singing refuge in the Buddha, refuge in the Dharma, and refuge in the Sangha. At that time, there in the city will be a great Brahmin named Subrahma. His wife, by the name of Brahmapati, also in the Brahmin caste, will be one who is gentle in nature. To them as parents, Maitreya Bodhisattva will be born. His stay in the womb will be like roaming in a celestial palace, and he will radiate great light, unobstructed by dirt and dust. As seen after birth, his body will be purplish golden, complete with the 32 major marks of a great man. He will be seated on a jeweled lotus blossom, and sentient beings will not get tired of beholding him. His brilliant light, which gods and humans have never seen before, will be so dazzling that the eye cannot endure. His strength will be immeasurable. The strength of each section of his body will surpass all the powerful dragons and elephants. The inconceivable radiance from his pores will illuminate infinite space, unhindered. The light of the sun, the moon, and the stars, as well as the light of water, fire, and gems, will all become inconspicuous like dust. His height will measure 80 elbows of Kayamuni Buddha. His chest will be 25 elbows wide. His face will be 12.5 elbows long. His nose in the center of his face will be tall and straight. His appearance will be sublime, complete with the unexcelled marks. Each mark will include 84,000 excellent characteristics, which will adorn him like a cast golden statue. Each of his excellent characteristics will send out radiance, illuminating the distance of thousands of yojanas. His physical eyes, with blue and white parts, will look clear. His permanent light will encircle his body and face, hundreds of yojanas around. Clearly illuminated by the Buddha light will be the sun, the moon, the stars, precious beads, and jewels, as well as lines of trees made of the 7 treasures. All other lights will be of no use. The body of this Buddha will be tall like a golden mountain. Those who see him will naturally be liberated from the 3 evil life journeys. At that time Maitreya Bodhisattva will observe carefully the faults of the 5 desires of the world and the sufferings of sentient beings sinking in the long flow, and he will pity those who are in the vast cycle of life and death. Observing suffering, emptiness, and impermanence with such insightful thoughts, he will not delight in family life, but will consider it as confining as a prison. At that time the king Ranka, together with his ministers and the people of his kingdom, will take the platform made of the 7 treasures, together with 1,000 jeweled curtains, 1,000 jeweled carriages, 1,000 koi jeweled bells, 1,000 jeweled vessels, and 1,000 jeweled urns, and offer them all to Maitreya Bodhisattva. After accepting them, Maitreya Bodhisattva will give them to the Brahmins. The Brahmins, after accepting them, will break them into pieces and share them. The Brahmins will all be surprised to see Maitreya Bodhisattva make such an enormous almsgiving. Maitreya Bodhisattva, seeing the evanescence and impermanence of the treasure platform, will know that saskta dharmas will all perish. Training himself to remember impermanence, Maitreya Bodhisattva will praise past Buddhas as the cool nectar, with a stanza on impermanence. All processes are impermanent, which are the dharma of birth and death. Having ended birth and death, silence is delight. After uttering this stanza, Maitreya Bodhisattva will renounce family life to learn the way and to sit under the dragon flower Bodhi tree in the sublime Vajramala. This tree will be 50 yojanas tall, with its branches and leaves spreading all about, radiating great bright light. Its branches will be like a jeweled dragon, spitting out hundreds of jeweled flowers. Its flowers and leaves will be in the colors of the 7 treasures, and its fruits in various colors will be satisfying to sentient beings. No tree in the heavens or the human world can compare. At that time Maitreya Bodhisattva, together with 84,000 Brahmins, will go to this mala. To renounce family life and to learn the way, he will shave off his own hair. He will renounce family life in the morning and, in the evening of the same day, will subjugate the 4 kinds of mras and attain anuttara samyak sabadai. He will then speak in verse, long thinking of the sufferings of sentient beings and wanting to rescue them. I was unable to do so. Today I have attained the Bodhi. Suddenly, obstructions are no more. I have also verified that sentient beings are niyat and that the original nature and appearance are true reality. My sorrows and sufferings nevermore, my loving kingness and compassion are unconditional. For the sake of rescuing you all, I have given to innumerable people my kingdom, my head, my eyes, my hands, my feet, and my wife. Beginning today are my liberation and the unsurpassed great silence. I will expound them to you all and widely open the sweet nectar way. Such a fruition of great reward is all born from great endurance in the 6 pramits, such as almsgiving, observing precepts, and developing wisdom. It is acquired also from great loving kindness and compassion as well as from untainted virtues. Having spoken this stanza, Maitreya Buddha will remain silent. Then, God kings, dragon kings, and spirit kings, without revealing themselves, will rain down flowers as offerings to this Buddha. The 3,000 large 1,000-fold world will quake in 6 ways. This Buddha's body will emit light, illuminating infinite realms. Those who can be delivered will be able to see this Buddha. At that time, in the flower grove garden, the God King Akrodavnmindra, the 4 God Kings who protect the world, the great Brahma Kings, and innumerable God sons will bow down their heads at the feet of this Buddha. Joining their palms, they will request him to turn the Dharma wheel. At that time Maitreya Buddha will grant their request in silence. He will tell the Brahma Kings, in the long night, I have undergone great sufferings and cultivated the 6 pramits. Finally, I have fulfilled the Dharma ocean today. To pronounce the Dharma to you all, I will rightfully erect the Dharma banner, beat the Dharma drum, blow the Dharma conch shell, and rain down the Dharma rain. None of the gods and humans can turn the Dharma wheel of the 8-fold right path, which can be turned by Buddhas only. Its meaning is impartial, and it leads straight to the unsurpassed silence of that which is asukta. It can enable sentient beings to end their sufferings in the long night. This Dharma is so profound that it is hard to obtain, hard to enter, hard to believe, and hard to understand. No one in the world can know it or see it. However, through it, one can cleanse one's mental defilements and acquire myriads of Brahma actions. As these words are being said, from other worlds, innumerable hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands, and kois of godsons, goddess daughters, and great Brahma kings, riding their celestial palaces, will come. Holding celestial flowers, they will offer them to the Tathagata and circumambulate him hundreds of thousands of times. They will fully prostrate themselves on the ground, and, joining their palms, they too will implore this Buddha. The celestial music sounding without being played, the Brahma kings will speak in one voice, saying in verse, without a Buddha, immeasurable, uncountable years have passed in waste, and sentient beings have gone down to the evil life paths. When the eye of the world is gone, the three evil life paths will widen and expand, and the road to the heavens will be blocked. Today the Buddha has appeared in the world. The three evil life paths will be annihilated, and the multitude of gods and humans will increase. We pray that you will open the sweet nectar door, enabling the minds of sentient beings not to cling, but to attain nirvana swiftly. We, the Brahma kings, have heard that a Buddha has appeared in the world. Because we now have encountered the Buddha, the unsurpassed Dharma king, the palaces in Brahma heavens are grander, and the light of our body becomes brighter. For the sake of all multitudes in the 10 directions, we implore the great guiding teacher, praying that he will open the sweet nectar door and turn the unsurpassed Dharma wheel. Having spoken this stanza, they again will bow down their heads to the ground. Joining their palms, 3 times they will ask earnestly, we pray only that the world-honored one will turn the profound wondrous Dharma wheel to eradicate the roots of sufferings of sentient beings, enabling them to walk far away from the 3 poisons and unwholesome deeds and to break away from the 4 evil life paths. At that time Maitreya the world-honored one will smile and emit light in 5 colors, silently granting the request of the Brahma kings. Having perceived the Buddha's approval, the godsons, and the innumerable multitudes will be immeasurably exultant and exhilarated all over their body, just like filial sons finding their deceased beloved father suddenly come back to life. The joy of the multitudes will be on the same scale. The multitude of gods will circumambulate the world-honored one, to the right uncountable number of times, and then, with tireless reverence and adoration, they will step back to stand on one side. At that time the huge multitude will all have this thought, although we can enjoy the pleasures of the 5 desires for thousands of kois of years, we cannot avoid the sufferings of the 3 evil life paths. Wives and riches cannot save us from this karma. The world is impermanent and life will not last for long. We should train in the pure Brahma way in the Buddha Dharma. After this thought they will think another thought, the gratification of the 5 desires for innumerable kalpas, like the lifespan of gods in no perception heaven, which lasts for innumerable kois of kalpas, and the fine and smooth tactile sensations from making merry with playmate goddesses will come to an end. Then we will go down to the 3 evil life paths to undergo immeasurable sufferings. The few pleasures are illusory, not worth mentioning. When we enter hell, the enormous fire will be glaringly ablaze. It will be hard to escape from the immeasurable sufferings for hundreds of thousands of kois of kalpas. It will be hard to eradicate the tribulations in the long night. Today we have encountered the Buddha, and we should endeavor to make energetic progress. At that time the King Ranka will chant aloud in verse, the pleasures of life in heaven will eventually come to an end. Before long will come a fall to hell, which is like a pile of raging fire. We should take quick action to renounce family life and learn the Buddha way. Having spoken these words, Ranka the wheel-turning king, surrounded reverently by 84,000 great ministers and escorted by the 4 god kings, will go to the flower grove garden. Under the dragon flower tree, he will ask Maitreya Buddha for permission to renounce family life, and he will make obeisance to the Buddha. Before he raises his head, his hair and beard will fall off by themselves, and he will be dressed in a monk's robe, becoming a Rama. At that time Maitreya Buddha, together with the king Ranka, surrounded reverently by 84,000 great ministers as well as bhikkhus and innumerable dharma protectors in the 8 classes such as gods and dragons, will enter the city of Kethama. As soon as he steps over the threshold of the gate, the Sa world will quake in 6 ways. The ground of Jambudpa will turn into golden color. The ground in the center of the great city of Kethama is made of Vajra. Up from the ground will naturally rise the jeweled Vajra throne, upon which past Buddhas have seated, and lines of jeweled trees. Gods will rain down from the sky enormous jeweled flowers. Dragon kings will play music, spitting flowers from their mouths and raining flowers from their pores, as offerings to the Buddha. This Buddha will be seated on this throne to turn the right Dharma wheel. He will pronounce the noble truth of suffering, the noble truth of its cause, the noble truth of its annihilation, and the noble truth of the path. He will also expound the 37 elements for the attainment of Bodhi. He will also pronounce the 12 links of dependent origin, conditioned upon ignorance are karmic actions, conditioned upon karmic actions is Laya consciousness, conditioned upon Laya consciousness are name and form, conditioned upon name and form are the 6 sense faculties, conditioned upon the 6 sense faculties is contact, conditioned upon contact is sensory reception, conditioned upon sensory reception are cravings, conditioned upon cravings is grasping, conditioned upon grasping is karmic becoming, conditioned upon karmic becoming is birth, and conditioned upon birth are old age and death, together with anxiety, sorrow, misery, and distress. At that time the earth will quake in 6 ways. The sound will be heard throughout this 3,000 large 1,000-fold world and even immeasurable and boundless worlds, each from Avsi hell below to Akaniha heaven at the top. At that time the 4 god kings, each leading innumerable ghosts and spirits, will chant loudly, when the Buddha sun rises, the Dharma rain will fall. The eye of the world has just opened today. Let the 8 classes of Dharma protectors of the great earth which are ready for the Buddha all hear and know this. The gods in the 33 heavens, Ima heaven, Tuita heaven, Nirmaratai heaven, Paranirmadavardhan heaven, and even great Brahma heaven, in their respective places, will chant loudly, when the Buddha sun rises, the sweet nectar falls. The eye of the world has just opened today. Let those who are ready all hear and know this. At that time the 8 classes of Dharma protectors such as gods and dragons, as well as the spurts of mountains, trees, medicinal herbs, water, fire, earth, cities, dwellings, and so forth, joyful and exuberant, will also chant loudly. Furthermore, 84,000 Brahmins, intelligent and very wise, following after the great King Ranka, will renounce family life to learn the way in the Buddha Dharma. An elder named Sudatta, who is none other than the elder Sudatta today, together with 84,000 people, will also renounce family life. 2 brothers named Idata and Pra, together with 84,000 people, will also renounce family life. 2 great ministers valued by the king, respectively named Brahmadamli and Sumana, together with 84,000 people, will also renounce family life to learn the way in the Buddha Dharma. The wheel-turning king's precious daughter, called Mivat, who is none other than the Lady Victoday, together with 84,000 fair ladies, will also renounce family life. The King Ranka's crown prince, called Sky Golden Color, who is none other than the son of the elder Devavana today, together with 84,000 people, will also renounce family life. The son of a Brahmin relative of Maitreya Buddha, called Sumati, who is none other than the son of the Bhikkhu Kattarabhadra today, together with 60,000 people, will also renounce family life. Only one of the 1,000 sons of the King Ranka will be reserved for succeeding to the throne. The remaining 999 sons, together with 84,000 people, will all renounce family life in order to be in the Buddha Dharma. Immeasurable multitudes such as these, seeing the sufferings in the world and the blazing force of the 5 aggregates, will all renounce family life so as to be in the Dharma of Maitreya Buddha. At that time Maitreya Buddha, with his mind of great loving kindness, will speak these words to the multitude: "You now have come to me, not for the sake of the pleasures of the next life in heaven or the pleasures of this life, but for the sake of the conditions for the eternal bliss of Nirvana. You have already planted good roots in the Buddha Dharma." When Kayamuni Buddha appeared in the world of the 5 turbidities, he rebuked you variously, expounded the Dharma to you, and taught you to plant good conditions for the future. Now that you have seen me, I will accept all of you. Some of you have been reborn at the place where I am because they have cultivated virtues, whether by reading and reciting, or by decisively classifying in the Tripitaka the Sutras, the Vinaya, and the Abhidharma, whether by expounding or praising their tenets to others, whether by, without jealousy, teaching others and having them accept and uphold the Dharma. Some of you have been reborn at the place where I am because they have cultivated virtues by giving others food and clothing, observing the precepts, and developing wisdom. Some of you have been reborn at the place where I am because they have cultivated virtues by offering the Buddha music, canopies, flowers, incense, and bright lamps. Some of you have been reborn at the place where I am because they have cultivated virtues by offering food regularly to the Sangha, erecting the monks' living quarters, providing them with the 4 necessities, or observing the 8 precepts and the vegetarian regimen for developing the mind of loving kindness. Some of you have been reborn at the place where I am because they have cultivated virtues by invoking profound loving kindness and compassion for sentient beings in misery and personally bearing their sufferings to give them happiness. Some of you have been reborn at the place where I am because they have cultivated virtues by developing the pure mind of loving kindness by observing the precepts and enduring adversities. Some of you have been reborn at the place where I am because they have cultivated virtues by building temples or offering food to the monks who came from everywhere to attend the Dharma assemblies. Some of you have been reborn at the place where I am because they have cultivated such virtues as meditation and affliction-free wisdom by observing the precepts and hearing much of the Dharma. Some of you have been reborn at the place where I am because they have cultivated virtues by erecting pagodas, making offerings to holy relics, or thinking of the Dharma body of Buddhas. Some of you have been reborn at the place where I am because they have cultivated virtues by rescuing and liberating those who were in hardship, poverty, solitude, or bondage to others, or those who were about to be tortured or executed by the law, or those who were in great misery because of the karma of the 8 difficulties. Some of you have been reborn at the place where